Nora realized too late that the moment didn't need words. It was supposed to be a short meeting, just coffee, nothing more. They hadn't seen each other in over a year, and neither of them suggested anything beyond that. It felt contained, defined, temporary. When it ended, Nora didn't say goodbye, not properly. Nora and Daniel had known each other for a long time, though not continuously. Their connection had never been stable enough to define. It appeared, then disappeared, then returned in small, unexpected ways. They never called it anything specific. It wasn't a relationship, not exactly, but it wasn't casual either. It existed in moments, conversations that lasted longer than planned, silences that felt understood, decisions that were never fully made. A year ago, they had stopped speaking, not because of a conflict, not because of something said. It had simply thinned out until there was nothing left to continue. No final message, no explanation, just absence. Nora had adjusted to that, not quickly but steadily. She stopped checking her phone for his name, stopped replaying their last conversation. Eventually, his absence became part of her routine. When Daniel texted, it didn't feel like a return, just an interruption. "Are you in the city this week?" Nora read the message without reacting immediately. She didn't ask why he was asking, didn't question what it meant. She simply answered, "Yes." They agreed to meet, no discussion beyond time and place. When Nora arrived at the cafe, Daniel was already there, sitting at a table near the window, the same table he used to choose before. That detail didn't feel intentional, but it didn't feel random either. It was just consistent. He looked up as she approached, and for a second there was a slight pause before he stood. Not hesitation exactly, but a brief recalibration of how to behave. "Hi," he said. "Hi." They sat down. Nora noticed small things immediately. The way he held the cup with both hands now. The way he didn't check his phone at all. The way his gaze stayed steady but not searching. At first, the conversation moved carefully. Not awkward, but measured. They spoke about neutral things, work, the city, small changes that had happened over the past year. Daniel mentioned a project. Nora listened, nodding slightly. She noticed how he explained things more simply than before, without going into details he used to insist on. As if something in him had become less focused on being understood completely. Neither of them asked why the other had disappeared. Neither of them tried to fill that space. It remained there, between them, but it didn't interrupt anything. At some point, Daniel said, "I wasn't sure you'd agree to meet." Nora traced the edge of her cup with her finger before answering. "I wasn't sure either." That was enough. As the conversation continued, something shifted, but not dramatically. The pauses became easier, the need to explain lessened. They didn't return to what they had before. Instead, they settled into something quieter. Daniel mentioned a place they used to go, not intentionally, just as part of a sentence. Nora noticed it but didn't react. The memory appeared briefly, clear, precise, but didn't pull her anywhere. There was a moment when Daniel almost said something more. She saw it in the way his sentence slowed down, how his eyes moved slightly away before returning. But he didn't continue, and Nora didn't ask. The moment came near the end, though it didn't announce itself. They had finished their coffee. The cups remained on the table longer than necessary. Neither of them moved to clear them or signal the end. Daniel checked the time, not abruptly, just enough to acknowledge that it was passing. "I should probably go," he said. Nora nodded. "Yeah." They both stood up. For a second, they remained there, adjusting their coats, placing small objects back into their pockets, movements that delayed the moment without extending it. There was space for something, a question, a continuation, a suggestion. Nora felt it clearly, the same kind of opening she had recognized before. But this time, it didn't feel like something slipping away. It felt complete. They walked outside together. The air was cooler than she expected. Nora pulled her sleeve slightly over her hand without thinking. Daniel noticed, but didn't comment. The street was quiet. People passed by, absorbed in their own movement. Daniel turned slightly toward her. "It was good to see you." Nora nodded. "Yeah, it was." There was no shift in tone, no attempt to extend the sentence into something more. A car passed between them and the sidewalk. For a brief second, the sound filled the space that could have held something else. Daniel gave a small nod, then turned and walked in the opposite direction. Nora watched him for a moment longer than necessary, not because she expected him to stop, because the movement itself felt like the ending. She noticed the pace of his steps, steady, unchanged. He didn't look back, and that made the moment clearer, not heavier. She didn't say goodbye, not out loud, not in any defined way. Later that evening, Nora sat by the window the same way she often did. Her phone was beside her, but she didn't check it. The meeting didn't replay in her mind the way she expected it might. It didn't loop or repeat. It simply stayed where it was. Complete. There were things she could have said, questions she could have asked, moments she could have extended. She thought about one of them briefly. How easy it would have been to ask, "Do you want to meet again?" The sentence formed clearly, then disappeared just as easily. Because now, it felt unnecessary. The silence between them hadn't closed, but it hadn't remained the same either. It had shifted into something else. Not distance, not connection, just space that no longer required definition. Nora looked outside, watching the light change slowly. The reflection in the glass overlapped with the street, making everything feel slightly doubled. And she realized something quietly. Not everything needed a proper ending. Some things could exist exactly as they were, without being named, without being continued, without being closed. And for the first time, that didn't feel unfinished. It felt enough. Not in a way that resolved anything, but in a way that didn't ask for more. If this story felt familiar, there are more like it here.